welcome back to Devils United. Today we'll be doing a preview for Manchester United, their first home game of the season versus Reading. I've got Andy back with me today. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. We were just talking before we started about a few of the things we're going to go through. Big news on the squad and certainly in the midfield. But I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Should we go through that first? Because it is the breaking news. Some people might say it's sad news. So as they say, bad news you get rid of first, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Bad managers you get rid of next, hopefully. But no, yeah, I mean, it's funny because I look back on some of the things that I said on other pods about Zelen and, she could essentially do anything she wants and she never gets dropped. And during the games when she plays poorly, that can be very frustrating. And maybe one of the reasons why they decided to get rid of Jackie Groenen now is because we're all it's been a while since we've seen what it's like when we've got our midfield in place. But I think, I think, obviously the news is that Jackie's most likely going to go to PSG. She's been seen in France this week. She possibly saw before we came live that possibly a contract till 2025 is being mentioned, and there will be a fee, and everybody's losing their shit.
They are, because they think without Jackie, there's no Champions League. And as much as I like Jackie Groenen and she is a miss for the squad, have we got Champions League with her?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, maybe it's 6 stages of grief. I'm on acceptance now, and I have been since May. And the thing is, we don't get Champions League, Mark leaves. I'm pretty confident that even this board isn't that stupid. He's on a 2+1 contract. This is the second season of his contract. That the club would have to activate his third-year option or give him a new contract this season. If he doesn't get Champions League, like we discussed on the Champions League or bust briefly on Monday, he's out the door. So I like to think that means this year he might be a bit more focused because it's either, or bust, isn't it? Like for him. All I can think of, and I'm interested in your views on this, all I can think of is for whatever reason, maybe the fact that Jackie never scored from Man United women is more of a consideration than just me who likes scoring goals. Being attacking focused. Maybe he just doesn't think she fits, akin to Nikita Paris with Arsenal. But obviously, we look at the way she is. We look at the skills that she has in the Euros. We see a fantastic player that, there's two things that seem a bit strange. Number one, that we're getting rid of her now. And number two, we're getting rid of her without an ability to replace her because our transfer window is shut, whereas the French window shuts on Tuesday.
I look at Jackie Groenen. I can't say it probably is because of the fact she doesn't score goals, because you look at it and think she's more than that, because you know how she is. Everyone says she's a system player, which she is. She's one of them where she likes to get the possession and bring it forward. And if the club is, for instance, wanting to put Mark Skinner on a permanent, more long contract, and he decides I want to stick to that 4-2-3-1, will we get the best out of Jackie Groenen? Will she leave anyway? Even if we get Champions League football doesn't guarantee Jackie Groenen will be staying.
Yeah, and I see Champions League football doesn't guarantee you're going to play it. You've got to qualify. And in third place, you've got to play 3 games.
Isn't it like playoff 1, playoff 2, then the final?
So I think it's first actually it's 4 games. It's two games in round 1, and the home and away, and then the group stage. So it's like a 2-legged affair in the second round too. Seeding in past round 1. I think they played one team and then lost obviously to Madrid. It's just weird. I mean, it's either way really. I think he gets third place. For people that don't like Mark Skinner, he's obviously might even get a new contract, because I don't think anybody would want their manager on a 1-year deal. He's about to leave, which is what he would be on next season if he just activated his option. Because on paper, somebody might want to poach him. I say on paper because I find that very hard to to believe. But like, so either way, even if you're a Skinner fan, somebody somewhere's got to do something with his contract. Probably January time. Probably, because you're either going to activate his option, in which case he might get a bit prissy because we've got him on a short leash. He's literally got 1 year and that's it, and he's gone. Or they might not renew him, who we don't get Champions League. But definitely Champions League or bust is correct. And I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things. Maybe we've discussed before about doing the Euros, seeing other players, other teams. Like, I'm United through and through, but maybe the idea is that no player is bigger than the club, and at the end of the day, these are quick careers. They've got short-term careers. All right, the salaries are getting there. I mean, the average salary for Man United women last season it's an average, so Jackie would be on the top end of this number, was between 50 and 90 grand a year. So, that's good money, I'd say, like that. But in France, for Lyon or for PSG, in reality, she might get double that. She might be on, at least 200 grand or 100 grand. She's going to get more money, as well as Champions League, as well as the ability not to live in Manchester, and various other lifestyle issues, possibly closer to family. You can see why it happens. And as United fans, I think it's not losing Jackie Groenen that's upset me. It's the idea of a lot of people acting like they've lost their right arm. The whole thing is lost. That, there's almost no point. We're going to fall on our ass. And I don't think it's that simple. I have queries. We'll probably discuss what we're going to think about Reading. We'll probably discuss who's going to start later in the pod on Reading. But I do have queries because Jackie played most games last season. So
she played the second half of the season because, if you remember, the fan base went mad because Jackie wasn't starting and she kept getting benched.
Yeah, and I think and I think it's going to be Jackie. It's going to be Zalem versus. And my problem is, I mean, you can probably talk about this in men's football a little bit more, but apparently you've got a lot more Player FC coming along. A lot of people that follow players. I think Ronaldo is an example.
Ronaldo is a great example. Paul Pogba is another one.
Yeah, where you have Player FC and they leave and they suddenly disappear, or they arrive and suddenly you've got 25,000 people you've never heard of before who suddenly following Man United or following whoever. And I wonder whether or not there's an element of that that's now coming to the women's game. And
I've seen a lot of Jackie Groenen stands, if you want me to be honest. Yeah. Since I'd say probably the last year, I've seen plenty of Jackie Groenen fans who are Barcelona fans, but Jackie Groenen stands.
But it's funny because it's funny because we all watch. You do now. We all watch other women's leagues. I watch a lot of Barcelona. I've seen more of Lyon and PSG recently, but there's nothing that replicates being in the stadium supporting your team, your actual team. I get. I'm not one of those people that says you can only support Man United or bust or all this kind of stuff. When you see these people online that I'm a fan of, and they list the top 20 teams in the Champions League, you don't get those up and downs of a football fan. You don't get that sheer ecstasy for winning and the real depressive defeat of getting up at 3 a.m. traveling down the country to watch them play. So it is a special thing to have, obviously, a full club that you support, and I just keep an eye on a few other things. And I think maybe it might be a good thing in the sense of some of those stands will go away for Jackie Groenen. But I do worry. My worry, again, I don't know what your view on it is. My worry is, just like what's kind of happened as well with Nikita Paris and certain people online, the second whoever takes Jackie's place in the squad on any particular game, so be Zalem and Vilda or Zalem and Ladd, whoever it may be, the second they sneeze, it'll be Jackie would have got that. The second they make any kind of mistake.
I can't see people giving hate to Hayley Ladd though, just because Hayley Ladd didn't. No, I mean I see what you mean, because obviously there is still them Player SCs will still lurk about. You see the Paul Pogba fans in terms of men's football who still does turn come about and go, Paul Pogba's clear of Bruno Fernandes. So do like something like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with true Manchester United fans, not the stands of the players,
Yeah.
I can't think of any Man United fans who would say anything bad about Hayley Ladd.
Yeah, and the thing is about it is we're in a very unusual situation, and actually we're not unusual because, as I say, I don't watch the men's side, but by hanging around with you guys and obviously being more aware of conversations, you're aware of it. I was about to say in an unusual situation where the captain isn't liked. Well, actually, I've just remembered Harry Maguire is a captain for Man United, Man United men, and he isn't liked either. So maybe this is a thing about Man United, since maybe just as you could say that certain Man United fans have been trying to find the ghost of Alex Ferguson in their next manager for the last 10, 15 years, they've also been trying to find the ghost of Roy Keane in their captain. And every captain since and every manager since hasn't been good enough in their view. I don't know. And maybe, with the women's side only forming in 2018, we haven't really got that. But there is a little bit of KCV Mark that goes on. And Mark doesn't help himself because he's rather an irritating individual when he opens his mouth. But I forget what the old saying is, but like, every ugly kit is pretty when you're scoring in it, and every annoying manager's a guru if he wins you the league. So, we've just got to roll with it this season and see what happens in the first few games. But obviously, we start at Reading this weekend.
Yeah, we'll quickly go through the comments anyway. Good evening, my queen. Hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. Good evening to Vincent. Sorry, I hope you're well. Thanks for coming into the chat. Good evening to Henry. I hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. And good evening, Ellie. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Ellie's got a question. What would your midfielders be when Jackie goes? If I was going to pick my personal midfield, I would do a 4-3-3, and I would have in the midfield three of Ladd, Tuna, and Vilda-Borisa. But if I was going to look at realistic terms of what Matt Skinner would pick, I think he would pick Ladd, Zellum, and Tuna. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah.
What do you want? What Matt Skinner will pick?
Yeah, I mean, again, I always lean towards a very attacking mindset. Yeah. So I love a 4-3-3. It links towards more attackers on the field, so that's what I like. But yeah, I think midfield wise, if you were looking at 4-3-3, you would say Zellum. Well, sorry, I mean, Skinner view now. You would say Villa-Arisa, Tooney, and Hayley Ladd. I do wonder whether or not, and I'm just trying to think out the box here about something weird and wacky, whether or not he's maybe converted a few wingers. I'm just trying to think whether or not we might suddenly find somebody who used to be on the wing being more midfield based this season. I don't know. Maybe Lee Galton. I don't know. It just makes me. I don't understand why he would have, as you said, blown a hole in our midfield with taking away Jackie. But I would say, yeah. So I'd say Tooney, Villa-Arisa, a Hayley Ladd would probably be the obvious strongest one. With Staniforth as a sort of substitute thing that comes in.
He does quite like Stanny, doesn't he? And the thing what I like about Stanny, she is a proper impactful sub. I see a more impactful substitute wise, but I do think if she stayed fully fit, she could even be in that midfield three for Matt Skinner because she's really like there. I forgot about Stanny, to be honest.
But yeah, so do I. I vaguely forget where she plays. That's a problem. So, but the other thing is as well is where's the pace gone? It just occurred to me as we started throwing some of these names around. Is that Hayley Ladd? The first thing I think about with Hayley Ladd is physicality, which is great. It's what you need against Reading, especially when you start winning against them. They get angry and start kicking at you, so you need that. Tooney's got pace, obviously, especially when she was doing a false nine role. But I don't really remember that well. I don't really remember Zellum providing much pace, whereas Jackie did at least run the ball and bring the ball up quite a lot to the wingers or to the front. So I'd just be interested to see what happens. One of the things I probably would say, whichever the 3 is in the 4-2-3-1 that they end up doing, because that's his Skinner's preferred formation, I actually think whatever he starts with this year, he won't finish with. So just a thought, just a sort of intuition there, because I think he's not really going to know, to be honest. Because if this we've done a full pre-season with Jackie as a first team player, this deal's obviously kicked off in the last couple of weeks. He's had his arm twisted if he's got a big juicy fee on it. So now suddenly he's having to think, well, okay, how am I going to replace Jackie, and how does that affect the balance of my team? Vilda Reese has got a big question mark against her as well, not because of her ability. She's a fantastic player, but because Skinner doesn't rate her and has made it pretty damn obvious he doesn't rate her with some of his comments about her getting up to the league and being up to this standard. And she's got a national team manager who has said, I'm not picking you because you don't get first team football at United. So there's a lot of things there that are up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, certainly is. Completely agree. One that we didn't touch on though, Jade Moore. I'm sorry, but
with Jade Moore, right? Look, I just still don't get it. I'm never going to get it. We started the end of the pod last week on Monday talking about how we got her when she was injured, and nobody really knows why that happened. I don't even think Jade Moore knows why that happened, and now she's no longer injured. And all I've heard about her is she's a bit old and she's very physical. That's literally all I know. Now, obviously,
she hasn't looked physical though when I've watched her for Man United.
Well, she knows the dark arts, apparently.
She's more technical to me.
Well, they're so dark. It's not that obvious to see. It's pitch black because I can't see her doing anything. That's the problem. But so obviously, if you want to go, we'll look at Reading, and obviously Reading's now got Diane in defence. Very physical, very physical player we had her last season. You could say, but again, he won't because he loves Zelen, that you could go real physical and you could have Moore and Ladd starting because they're your two most physical players with Tooney at the front. But
I couldn't do that. That is too defensively minded for me.
I mean, in the two DM positions, if you're doing your 4-2-3-1.
Yes, that's why it's an ugly formation. It's why I don't like it. It's too defensive. Ellie said, even though Jets will be missed, we have some talented players who can help us. Leslie and Tooney, which are key players in my opinion. And to be honest, the midfield is our most stats position, even though Jackie is a more preferred player in that midfield. I'd be more concerned if we lost players in other areas of Leslie and Honor, if you want me to
honest. Don't worry. Honor we could lose because of the Barcelona link. I appreciate she's Catalan.
But I'm hoping in that kind of way that that now Lucia Garcia is signed, that makes Honor has a bit of a contract extension, because if you look at who's in Man United before Lucia Garcia came, I'm not saying she didn't have friends, because Ella Toon for me was probably one of her closest friends, but she didn't have anyone who she could say, that's my family. I come for, these are people who I play with from my home, from my country. She didn't really have them kind of links, so you might have she might have thought to herself, maybe I'm the odd one out in that kind of respect, and knowing that she has that friend there who plays for club and country, I think it might settle her that a little bit more.
Oh yeah, completely. And we discussed again at the beginning, I think on Monday, that that it seems to be in football now that you start getting little embassies. So you get one Dutch place and they get 10, or you get one Swedish place and they get 3. Everyone starts coming over with the same language because you've got the culture, you've got the language.
And don't forget, even though she's not a Man United player, that Layla, the former Barcelona player, is signed for Man City, and we all know that Honor's been spending a lot of time with her outside of football. So even.
And Lasada as well. She walks the dog with her. They both walk the dogs together. Vicky Lasada. And as you say, it's getting a nice Spanish idea. I mean, the thing is as well, I suppose, at the moment that leads on our favour in keeping hold of Honor is the Spanish league is in a mess because of the referee strike at the moment. So the first game, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's almost unbelievable. So the first round of matches in Spain, that the referees won't strike. And they said, you don't pay us enough. We want the same as the men, which are 25 grand a game. And the Spanish league are like, no. and then suddenly what happened is that so they could claim compensation. Like both teams got full dressed up in kit, came out, shook each other's hands, and basically stood in a line and had to wait 15 minutes and then left. And that happened. And that happened in all the games in Spain last weekend. It's probably going to happen again this weekend. So until somebody somewhere sorts something out, and it seems to have gone to some governmental departments now in Spain, what I was reading today, they could have an issue for a while about getting their league up and running. So we always said Honor's very young. She's only getting more experienced. She might see it as a bit of a leadership position. Garcia is younger than Honor and doesn't speak English. Honor speaks very good English now, so she might quite enjoy helping her out with her language, showing her the ropes. A little bit of more of a leadership thing as well from the Spanish side. So, we could keep hold of Honor next year, but the big one is Leslie. And the only thing that I can think of, I think one of the things that Ellie mentioned in one of the comments was, why haven't they announced it yet? In the sense of Jackie leaving. I think
about it being, should it be announced before Saturday?
Yeah, I think the issue is with the whole situation is that maybe they're trying to find a way of, because it's going to be such a negative, that they're going to find a way to sweeten the deal, i.e. announce Leslie's extension the same day or the day after, maybe. And maybe that's what they're trying to do now, as quickly as they can, because then at least it would calm the fan base. I'm trying to remember what was announced when Zalem got a contract renewal. There was a transfer that came in at the same time.
Letitia.
Yeah.
I think Zelbum signed a contract, and then 48 hours later, Letitia announced.
So I wonder whether or not they're trying to do something like that. Hopefully, it's not just cock up. It's not incompetence, because obviously, if they're trying to sell Jackie, she won't be in the squad on Saturday if she's still here. So that's just going to cause more people to focus on it.
For me, though, I think it's probably best to be announced before Saturday. Then we'd have a clear idea of what we're going to do for the future. Because why would you want to play Jackie for the Saturday? She's going to go on the Sunday.
Well, they won't play her.
And not just that, though. She's going to have to go to France to do her medicals anyway. So she
already is. She's there.
If she's already there, then she's definitely going to be announced. She'll be announced by Friday.
Apparently, she's already there. Yeah, I mean, these people have all the contacts that I don't. I'm just getting this up mainly off Twitter and a few other people, but apparently she's already there. Some people that can work these things out. Just seeing Anton as well there saying the Super Clubs in Spain and France really only care about the Champions League. Domestic league is just another cup. More Real Madrid men, yeah, because I saw a documentary about Super League. They don't really focus on their domestic side. But I think Barcelona do obviously have we just want to win everything kind of idea. And I think people can go to win the Champions League, but if you're born and raised in Catalonia, it's all about what you would have dreamt as the young girl is playing for Barcelona. Would have been like the best thing you could have done.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. To Henry's question, I'm just gonna say disgusted. Hey there, Ravi. Hope you're well. What type of players are best suited to play against Reading?
Physical.
Yeah, physical players who are up for a challenge. So that's why I would start Hayley Ladd. In terms of the centre backs position, I'd actually drop Hannah Blundell for the game, which I think is
a bold. Though? Who have you got? That's really
I would move Maya Letitia to this full back, and I would have put Tunkara as the centre back alongside Millie Turner, because Tunkara's interview officially came out this week, and she says she loves to tackle.
Yeah,
and you need that type of player.
There's two sides of that physicality as well. You want someone physical, as you say, who makes the tackle. But you also need someone who's robust enough to take the tackle. And I'm thinking of Martha Thomas, and she's got a lot better, but she's a little bit fragile. So I would be nervy having her even on as a sub, because she could easily get injured. They are very, very
Who's
physical.
That, sorry?
Martha Thomas.
I would just start Martha Thomas. I think Martha Thomas for me is a player who I would start for City, Arsenal,
Yeah,
Man
that's what I
City,
mean.
or Chelsea.
You have to consider how difficult it is to play Reading. There's two elements to it really. Normally we win. I know I know they obviously famously beat us in our first home game at LSV when it first started, but normally we win. But what happens typically is when we get 1 or 2 nil up, they just start flying in. And they are very, very physical. I haven't seen the referee for this weekend. Oh, I have actually seen the referee for this weekend. At least it's not Kirsty Dow, which is the worst referee in the WSL. It's Abigail Byrne, which I can't remember. I think she's kind of middle of the road, really. So hopefully that won't be much of a problem.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Luca. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Question from Rather: who will be more of an impact sub? It depends who we start, if you want me to be honest. But potential impact subs will be Stanny, which we've already touched on. Vilde Reeser if she comes on. Depending if Leon, Nikita Paris even come off the bench. There are all options that they can take. We've strengthened the squad massively, so it's just all depending on who Matt's gonna play. Because what I always say, you need to have as good strong bench as you have as a starting 11. That's why the likes of Chelsea are always going to be competing for that number one spot, because I'd say even their bench could probably get into the top three of the
Yeah,
WSL.
I mean, this is what the problem is. So, I mean, the key to the game is going to be that arc of in what order do you have as starters and on bench? In a sense of Leon, Paris, Garcia, and Galton. So you think of those four players, which two are going to be your starting wingers, which two are going to be your game changers that will come on. I think it could be personal preference. I think he's going to go with Leon. I think he could go with Leon and Paris and really surprise people because of the experience factor to steady the ship, and have Garcia as a youthful, energetic, like grab the game by the scruff of the neck if it's not going our way.
I have a feeling, though, I don't know about you, that you'd hear meltdowns if Lucia Garcia isn't a starter for Man United.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely could happen. But I think, but the issue that I've got as well about Butter Reset with a game changer, the problem you've got with someone coming on as a sub in any position, they've only got a limited time. By definition, not there for the full 90. To an extent, you've got to be confident because you've got to believe that you can actually make a difference in the game. If you're low in confidence, and I appreciate this is because Skinner made this happen, but if you're low on confidence and Skinner gives you a chance for 20 minutes, you're going to think, right, okay, I've got to make this work. It's really got to work. And then you're more likely not to have that impact. So to an extent, you want someone, without swearing, but you want someone who is a little bit on the sort of peed off side. I should have started. Right, I'm going to show you. Let me at them, kind of like, when they come on, and then they have a fire with them. If you're, so I think maybe first game of the season that might come more naturally to us as well because they want to be starting. They don't want to become a bench player because nobody really knows who the starting 11 is at the moment because obviously we've not had a proper league game yet. So but I think it's going to be interesting to see what way we play Leah as well. I mean, you mentioned it in the last pod. That maybe I'm being unfair on Leah. I've forgotten how good she was because she's not an international player, and I've been seeing all these internationals in summer. And in my head, I've put Paris and I put Garcia and Leon above her in the pecking order of wingers, which is probably unfair. So, I mean, what would you say? Would you say winger wise, will start with Garcia and Galton and Leon?
I would personally say so because, especially in the last game, Leah Galton got 2 goals against Reading, I'm sure. It was Galton scored 2, Russo scored 1. So
One scored, I think, against Reading famously in the home game. It was the opening game of last season. Or you're thinking of the
no,
away?
I'm thinking the away one, the last game we played.
Yeah.
So he may think, oh, don't change too much to a winning team of last time, perhaps. I don't know. But I just think for me with Leah Galton, she's one of them kind of wingers what you need, like cutting into the box, and you don't really see that of a lot of wingers these days. They prefer to have a nice cross or to shoot from outside the box. Whereas I think Galton's a lot more selfless in that way.
Yeah, and I think and obviously the other way of looking at it, she's going to be fresh, and And as you say, it's rare to get pure wingers where they specialise on being sort of like, certain older members of the fan base were taught, having
And
chalk on.
and the other wingers right-footed as well?
Probably.
Because,
Yeah.
because Leon plays as a right striker, Nikita Paris is more as a right wing player,
Yeah.
and so's Lucia Garcia. So Leah Galton is our only left-footed winger.
Yeah, and she's brilliant. I am a fan of Leah. I do. I was just thinking, we had the conversation about, you forget when, that these players are in the international scheme have sort of, they've been in the shop window for 3 months, and you forget sometimes about the non-international players. But obviously we need Leah, and I'd be interested to see who he starts as well.
Exactly, completely agree. Anton has said need Champions League or this will keep happening. I agree. I think even if we got into the Champions League though, if for example you had Barcelona or Lyon knocking at your door, you'd still go, even if we was a quarter finalist Champions League team. I think that's what would happen, just knowing how the other teams are.
It just depends so much because we go back to Zalem, the best managers, whoever they are, don't have undroppable players. Skinner, maybe
I'm not a fan of Emma Hayes, but she has players and she's not afraid to drop them.
yeah. And, Skinner, I think the other thing that maybe has been missed about sort of the conversation we've been having and other people have had is that if Skinner gets Champions League, that will be his biggest achievement in football, statistically and factually, because he I think he got to the final. Did it? Oh no, he won the FA Cup with Birmingham, didn't he? Women. I think he was definitely in the final. He got in the final. Yeah, he did. He won it because they spent the prize money on goals, or at least he got in the final. I'll have a look at that in a second. He was in the final for even if he won it for the FA Cup. But to get to the Champions League, that's better than he's ever done with Orlando, than he's done with Birmingham. And and it would be interesting for him. So I suppose in a more positive way, for a sort of more positive view on Skinner, he should be hungry this season. I must admit, I've listened to him talk. I've listened to him a couple of interviews that he's done. He sounds a little bit better than sort of a kid on holiday. Oh, energy, red wave. Woo. He's had us lot biting his ear off the last 12 months, and he seems a little bit more focused. And to be honest, so does Zalem. So, but it'd be interesting to see, obviously, now with the new run-in, because obviously in a parallel universe, we would have been at Spurs this weekend. They're just gone. We would know where we're up to. Would have already either got a win or a loss. Now we've got quite an interesting start to the season of Reading this weekend at home. First game at LSV, likely going to be a sellout apart from the standing section, so a effective sellout. West Ham away, a much weakened team since last season, for example, and also a Leon homecoming, because obviously she used to be there, and Martha Thomas. And then 1st of October, Conti Cup, so a lot of our players won't be involved. Then we're into an international break with England, USA. So then you're pushing on to a month's time before the next sort of first team game that you would get, which I think, don't quote me on that, is Leicester away. So it's a bit of a bitty start to the season. That we've got the first 2 games is going to be the kicker.
Completely agree. Lucas, do you think United ladies can win cup? I think we can win the cup. We've got the squad to do it.
I think we can win. Yeah, we can win the Conti Cup. I mean, the Conti Cup is a weird. It's a very weird cup. It is very weird. It needs us to win it to make it better. Like anything, really. Women's football needed Man United because previously it was a library where nobody made noise, and now it's a football league, which is brilliant. With the Conti Cup, it's kind of like for those that are men's fans, it's kind of like the Carabao Cup, where
they have group stages.
Well, they have group stages, but in the sense of how everybody plays their babies or people that are out of favour, and then magically at a predetermined time, normally the quarters or the semis, the normal players come in, the sort of more first team players come in, and then every time, and then whoever wins the cup as they parade the cup around the final stadium. They go, do they always mention how much I love the Carabao Cup? I've always loved it, when they win it, but they sort of see it as a pain in the arse for the rest of the time.
Am I right in thinking that if you draw the game and you win on penalties, you get 2 points?
Yeah.
Right. That's something else that's not it
Yeah.
as well.
I don't even understand what that was about. Or
And does
why
the other team get the 1 point?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think. Yeah.
Just to double check on that. I
It,
thought it was, but I didn't want to be.
I would say it kind of sounds like a FIFA trial, but it's been going for years, and I doubt. So I don't even know why. It's just a quirk of the system. I think it's because there's so few teams. It was just a way of trying to, because you don't play people home and away. Like we're going Durham away this year. Oh, they love me in Durham. Can't wait to see you guys. We're doing Durham away, but there's no corresponding home fixture. It's not a group stage. It's not a group stage in the sense of you play home and away each team. So I think it's a way to try and separate them out a little bit. But yeah, as I say, it's a Conti Cup. It gets to the semi-final. People start caring about it. But then the final is in a random stadium somewhere.
Wimbledon won it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was in Wimbledon. The Cherry Tree Record Stadium. Well, answers on a postcard if you know where that is. But as you say, Wimbledon, it's like 10,000 capacity this season. Last season, I think it's been at Bramall Lane in the past. It's been at Forest Prem Ground in the past.
It'd be good to do it at Old Trafford or Villa Park or.
Yeah, it's some sort of random thing. But then, of course, it's full of like neutrals who buy their ticket now, who support nobody. So it struggles for an atmosphere. Because by the time the teams that are in it get there, there's like a lot of other people that are just there to have a good time. And obviously the atmosphere is affected by it. It's the same to a lesser extent with the Women's FA Cup. So we need to win the trophy because Man United women will go mental if we win the Conti Cup. It will bring it will heighten its profile. I mean, that's the most likely chance we could win it. We could look at the FA Cup as well, obviously.
It depends who we get after City. I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, with the FA Cup, it's the same story. At some point, you got to beat Chelsea, Arsenal, or City, most likely to win either cup. So theoretically, it's the same story, but it's Wembley. It's a longer thing, and you have chances to play. There's more rounds to it, so we'll just have to see. I think it's most likely going to be the Conti Cup if we're going to win any cup this year.
Yes, I do have new glasses, Vincent and Rather. Hey there, Vaughn. Hope you're well. Just Dance trailer. I'll have to check it out. I'm sure you're happy about that yourself. Good evening, Miss Molina. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. And I hope you had a lovely birthday the other day. Vaughn, World Cup and Just Dance in November. Then AJ and Fiore. What an end to the year. Yeah, I'm voting Fiore. Just out of topic. Because I do love Tyson Fiore. Ella Tunkar at the back on Saturday. I hope Matt picks her. Yeah, it would be a good one to have. Having Garcia with honour this season, I love it. It'll give us so much more confidence. I agree. Vaughn said the Spanish are probably the least well organised people in Europe. That is facts. That is true. Anton, we did touch on already. No one goes to Basel for the Spanish league. They go to win the Champions League. Laetitia, no, she's not related to Matt Laetitia.
Apparently, they know each other. They know of each other because it's a tiny little island. But it's
are they from the same place?
Yeah, Guernsey. Yeah, they're both from the same. They're both from the same island. But Laetitia on that island is like the equivalent of Smith or Jones in Wales. So there's quite a few of them apparently, but they're not related.
Okay. Ravi asked, do you think more and more British people will leave for European teams? It's a tough one. The only ones I can think of who's left is City players to European teams. No Man United players, British-wise, has left.
Greenwood to Leon back in the day before she moved to City. She was our captain.
Yeah, but it's only Greenwood. it's only Greenwood. We're not exactly. She was only our Championship player. She wasn't our WSL player. So
yeah, she left before that. But no, yeah, there's been a few. I think the question's an interesting one because previously the WSL was sort of here and every other league was kind of a step down. But the Spanish league's got a lot stronger. The French league's got a lot stronger. It's now a possibility. The only other person I could think of is, I forget her name, but I can see her face. One of the Liverpool players went to Real Betis last year for the rest of the sort of finishing the season there. Player of colour, I can't remember her name, but she moved there. But yeah, there isn't the brain drain yet. It's still going the other way, which is good for us anyway.
Good evening, Liam. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. Ellie said Millie Turner's like a new signing. She's looking great. Vincent, have you heard when tickets go on sale for a cup game against Villa? Because Aston Villa website said they're on sale. I tried to buy one, but they would not sell to me because I'm not a Villa fan. Didn't we have issues like that last year?
Oh God, tickets. Honestly, we need away ends. We need away ends for so many reasons. We need away ends because we want to be with our mates and not random people that get upset that I'm shouting down your ear, because I will be shouting down your ear. And we need it for the atmosphere, but we mainly need away ends because some people. I'm no coder. I'm no, software engineer. But honestly, some of these websites that I think, particularly of Everton, their website is as good as their ground. Shall I put it that way? You pretty much need a degree in astrophysics to work out how to get a ticket for Everton away. I'm only slightly joking with that statement. West Ham, I need to get my ticket. I'll get it tomorrow for West Ham away, mainly because you have to register as a West Ham fan, which I'm sure is great. And then you have to link a client number to your account, and then you have to log back in and buy it. And there's no area for United fans, so we all just have to know roughly what area we need to book. That's the kind of thing that you've got. To answer Vincent's question directly, you've been given the runaround. Basically, they're now on sale from the 12th of this month. You just have to register as an Aston Villa fan by getting an account, and you just book in the area that Manchester United Women's Supporters Club say to book in. That's the only way you can do it. Anyway, you did it last year. Vincent was there last year. I got to meet him.
Yes, we both met Vincent at the Aston Villa ground.
Mate, you did it successfully last year, so just remember what you did and do it again, all right?
Good evening, Donna. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Good question here by Rather. Garcia going to be embedded in slowly or start from the get-go? For me, I would rather be embedded in. I'd rather make sure she's 100% ready than rush her in for her to struggle in a kind of respect. What would you rather do, Andy?
She is the idea was she's going to get bedded in slowly, but she's actually performed so well. She's now given Skinner a headache, which is great. I agree with you. I think we need to keep her for the long term, but at the end of the day, she's still on scoring form from Spain and from the time in France. So I'd definitely put her on the bench to start and get her on at some point. I mean, get her on the game at some point. So the benefit of being young is that you can play more games. And we've got a Conti Cup game quite quickly, actually. We've been going on about a Conti Cup. So maybe subs bench with a few minutes, subs bench a few minutes, West Ham away, start her fully for the full 90 at the Conti Cup game against Villa, game 3.
Yeah. Where was I up to here now? Because I seen there was Juventus has scored good because I hate Benfica. That'd be pretty funny. Be interested for both Reece and Maria, see where they start and when they start, considering they want to do everything they can to get to the Norway squad. I think in terms of Maria, they need to have her because Norway's defense is shocking.
Maria it's a make or break season for Maria.
I think so as well. She's one of them where she can play so good against like Leicester, but then when it comes to the big teams in the league, she crumbles.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue this is a flip side of Garcia when she was brought in. I know she came from Chelsea, so she was used to WSL, but when she was brought in, she was playing every game when she maybe shouldn't have done, but we didn't have anybody else. So she had a lot of pressure on her. She's got a lot more support now, but she's very wobbly. You don't really know which Maria you're going to get each game. So her and Vilda, I think, Vilda, I think I think, put it this way, I think at the end of the season, only one of them will still be here.
And I know which one I'd rather keep anyway.
Yeah.
Anton said, hopefully City struggle this year while they try to rebuild. I think if they get an injury or two in the midfield, I think they're done for. I really do, Anton. They've lost too many midfielders.
Well, it's interesting about City because that's another manager who, on paper, has no pedigree. Gareth Taylor.
And he said that he's happy with his recruitment.
Yeah, of course he is. He's not going to say it's crap. But the thing is, like, Gareth Taylor was a Prem player. That was essentially that's the biggest thing he's done in his life. He used to play for Man City in the Premiership for a short period, I believe. So to an extent, his managerial skills leaves a lot to be desired, but so does Skinner. So that's what I mean. We are quite close for that third spot.
He's been bloody everywhere. Mark Skinner played for Bristol Rovers, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United. Gareth Taylor, yeah. Bristol Rovers, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Manchester City, Port Vale, Queen's Park Rangers, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Tranmere Rovers, Doncaster Rovers, Carlisle United, Wrexham, Crewe Alexandra, Gloucester City. Gloucester City. Where haven't you been, mate?
The guy was like coronavirus before it was called. It went around the whole country. Yeah, interesting question as well. I mean, Baftai mentioned. I just noticed here about the All-Star game.
Oh yes, we will go on that, Andrew, as well about the All-Stars. Hey there to my dad. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming into the chat. I do think Man United can get top three, and I'm sure you said the same as well, haven't you, Andy? Yeah,
it's a third position is one we've got.
Yeah, I don't know how much you know about this All Stars. What Vaughn has mentioned. Have you? So, right. The Chelsea manager, the new Chelsea owner, that Todd Boehly, he clearly knows crap all about football, right? And this guy wants an All Stars North versus the South. And I'll also put in the live chat as well a poll. What does people think about this All Stars business? But if I'm not mistaken, Tier 3, they have a North and South divide. But it's obviously not a one-off game; it's a whole league, and then they play as a North versus North versus South final.
For the winner, and then it goes.
Yeah. So, what do you think of this All Stars thing, anyway? And do you think it'd work?
I think it's absolutely bloody ridiculous. I think it's. I mean, I've seen the interview. This is why I'm aware of it. It's on Twitter. I spend too long on Twitter these days. But it's on Twitter, and I think what makes it more difficult is the way he brings it up. Is actually talks about how his Major League Baseball team that he owns in America made $200 million in 2 days by doing one. So he's not even doing it from a sporting perspective. He's advocating it to make more money.
Exactly, and it's like it's not as always doing it like it's the two best teams in the North and the South. It's the best players in the North and the South. So that would be, for instance, like you'd have your goalkeeper Mary Earps, and then you'd have a defense of you could have like Sam Kerr playing in the South.
Yeah.
Then you could have like Berger playing in the South as well, and then you've got. I'm trying to think who's in that. Wait, have we got? I don't even think we've got a right. How many teams have we got? Like 12. Yeah. So that's 6 teams each. And have we got enough good players on each side?
I mean, to do North versus South, so you've got that's a test, isn't it? To do like so you got Man United, Man City, Liverpool,
Leicester
Everton,
will be classed as the North, I believe.
Leicester, and that's your 5.
Did you say Everton?
Yeah, I mentioned Everton. So Man United, Man City, Liverpool,
Everton,
Leicester. That's 5.
Yeah.
Divide being Villa.
I think Villa. I'm actually gonna let's get the table out because that might be a bit easier, might it?
And then you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham.
Yeah, I've got the table here. Yeah, so looking at that WSL table, Arsenal South, Villa will be North, Brighton South, Chelsea South, Everton North, 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 North.
South.
Reading's in the south.
Yeah.
South, South.
Yeah, I mean, with a couple of exceptions, you could probably just about do it. But the thing is, it's a stupid idea. I mean, the reason, I mean, but let's look at why it's a stupid idea. So, why is it a no go for the men? Because it's ridiculous. Because the whole point of football is because of rivalry and club rivalry. The idea that a Liverpool player could play next to a Man United player, a Spurs player could play next to an Arsenal player outside of the international is ridiculous. The arguments are the same for the women's game.
Somebody wants the All Stars game. Think it's a good idea. Please, can someone tell me who thinks it's a good idea?
I didn't know we had the Chelsea manager watching. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe. No, I think. Right, I'll give you another example. One of the sports that I recently got back into is NFL. Right, and at the end of the season, just before the Super Bowl, they have a thing called the Pro Bowl, where basically they pick the best teams. Similar idea in a way. The best teams in the AFC, which is one division, versus the best teams in the AFC, which is another division. And it's a crap game that nobody watches. But for historical reasons, it's seen as an honour to be named in it. So not only is it a crap game that nobody watches, when you watch the game, because nobody cares, they don't even go into tackles properly. It's literally like almost touch American football. So with an all-star game, over here, it's kind of like going to be your worst friendly that you can think of. Think of the last friendly you saw where nobody cares in July, where you get a plastic cup at the end or something along those lines. That's what it would be like. It would be a complete waste of time and nobody would watch it. But there is more people in the women's game that we just want to watch it and everyone have fun and hold hands and all that crap. So it might be less of an outrage than the men's. I mean, the men would just riot. It wouldn't work.
I think if it was different and if it wasn't something to make money and it was something for charity or something like friendlies for charity or something like that, I would actually be like, fair enough. But he's literally doing it for revenue and for money because he's greedy. It's a simple American owner, and I don't like to pinpoint on certain owner types, but it is. It's the American owners who are greedy, don't know anything about the game, considering he doesn't even know who was in Chelsea's academy. So that really shows that he doesn't know crap all about Chelsea Football Club, doesn't know anything about the Premier League, doesn't know anything about a WSL. He knows nothing because he's put his money in the club. He thinks that, I can make all the rules here.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, and it's bad because he gives all Americans a bad name. I mean, I don't know personally any American fans of United, but actually I do know a couple of American fans from United, and they get up very early that in the morning to watch the games. They are committed fans and they know a lot about football. But people like this lean towards the stereotype of what you think of Americans. They don't know and all this kind of stuff. And the fact is, most Americans want to keep their American football American and keep their football English, because there's a reason why they like it. They like what we provide. The passion, the promotion, relegation, the stuff like that. I mean, we don't if we get onto the question, but I mean, another question is obviously with the Nations League coming in with the women's internationals. I think instead of an all-star game, which would be utterly pointless, let's look at a Europa League for the women. You've advocated that from quite early on. Let's build the club game because again, in the women's game, Americans are very powerful. Because historically, the NWSL was the strongest league. Women first got paid to play football in America, so they have a much more of a say than the men's American team, which is just a joke. People laugh, it's not really a thing. MLS is where people go and retire. Even I know that. So we kind of have to fight against the forces of that in the women's game because if they had their way, England would play a 20 game season. The club game would almost be forgotten, and you'd have a World Cup every year, and it would be ridiculous because they value internationals more than club games, whereas we know that the passion about football is the club rivalry, is the history behind it, who's representing the badge, is all this kind of thing. So we have to fight for that, and less so the internationals. And you're talking to someone who did 11 Euros, 11 Euro games this summer. I love internationals, sure.
Yeah.
I did England Luxembourg. Watched the 10-0 drumming in Stoke. It nearly killed me because it took us that long to get out of the car park. I nearly died of low blood sugar by the time I got some food. But I'll do that. I'm watching England USA in Wembley on the 7th of October. I like the England team, but football is club football. It just
Agreed.
is.
Completely agree. Hey there, Andrew. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Nice glasses. Thank you. And hey there, Niall as well. You know what I'm gonna do as well, because I know we've touched on that. We don't like this crappy All Stars crap. What has annoyed me even more is that you've got the likes of Sky Sports who is egging it on, saying you're North versus South, the two teams we are picked. Why are they encouraging this?
Well, it's because it's for clicks, because everybody's going to get angry like you're doing now and clicking on their Twitter page.
The thing, remember that ESL when it came out, the ESL. Yeah. Everyone was going mad. Even the pundits and Sky was going mad. You hadn't seen this publicity, but Sky now are thinking this is terrific, and they want to make points out of it and make teams out of it. Why?
Sky, I mean, I watch a lot of sport and a bit of a geek when it comes to this. Wouldn't be surprising people. All right, Sky's got the Premier League and has got a really good, strong position with the rights to the Premier League, but they haven't really got much else left. They've lost a lot of rights to various different sports, so they're kind of putting all eggs in one basket now when it comes to the Premier League. So it's possibly any kind of excuse, really. I mean, I think the thing is, the Super League. I mean, what happened with the Super League and with the men's side? Because I said I did a documentary on it, and even I'm aware of it, even though I don't watch the men's game. Is it surprised people because everything else that they saw people that are buying more and more expensive shirts in more frequently. They're seeing people swallowing up more and more expensive tickets per game in the men's game. And they just thought, oh, yeah, well, people will do it. People want to watch this football. They'll just pay. They'll just go on it. They never realized that they would not only be unhappy about it, but they would nearly riot in certain areas about it. And I think to an extent, hopefully, that's going to buy us a few years of avoiding stupid decisions on the men's and the women's game. The biggest danger in the women's game, with the Nation League as well coming in, is that idea that the Lionesses is everything, especially considering we've just won a tournament. So when the Americans, I mean, imagine this: the US national team. If you're in the US national team, I think it's less than half of the year you play for your club. Your contracts with them are not the club. The equivalent of the international manager can ring your club manager and say, "Don't want her to play," and they have to do that, irrespective of what your position is. Do you want that in? Do you want that in our league? Do you want that? I don't want that. And when they win a cup, or I think even if they I think if they win a cup or get to a final of a cup, they then have I can't even say it with a straight face. I'll have to look at your logo instead of your face. I'll start laughing. They have a victory tour. They have a victory tour of 4 or 5 games. How cheesy. Playing crappy teams that are nowhere near like Nigeria and Mexico in half-empty stadiums, people chanting USA, USA. That's what happens when you neglect your club game. Let's look at the NWSL. The NWSL was the first league that became professional. By rights, it should be the strongest league because it's had the longest to develop. But they went bankrupt a couple of times, and now their rights are held by Twitch, that fantastic, famous channel that you have to try and use to watch it over here. The commentator is the best one's based in the UK anyway, and basically does it in his pajamas and stays awake all night and does a commentary from the UK. And it's just got no passion to it. The club game is what needs to be developed more than the international.
Mm-hmm. Look who's in the chat.
Yeah. Sorry, we only mentioned Jay Moore earlier on, so it's fine.
I hope you're well, Chloe. I hope you're having a lovely holiday. But Yeah, going back to it, yeah, we're expecting 3 points, Andrew, for the game. What I thought we'd do before we obviously go on, because I know we have gone on for an hour, but I thought I'd look at the last starting 11 we
Mm,
played against Reading. How much of a difference is that compared to the squad we've got now?
it is. It is interesting. Interested to see Russo on the wing. I forgot about that wonderful
Yeah,
decision.
because Thomas and Russo used to switch round, and I think at the beginning they put Skinner used to put Russo on the wing, and I'm sure it wasn't long after where Hansen lost it because it was after that it was that 0-0 draw a few games after.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at it now. So Blundell will be the same. Maria's not going to be there. Funnily enough, Diane will be there, but for the opposition team. Baget is obvious one. Well, we've discussed about Groningen. Zelen will be there. And then Galton, you say should start. I'm not sure. I think maybe she probably will start, actually. But and then Tooney will start. Russo will be the top, and then Leon won't it? So it's a much stronger team.
Looking at it though, there isn't that many who will start now. Looking at that team.
Yeah.
The centre backs are going to be different. It's just going to be our full backs will be the same. The goalkeeper, Selim, Tuna, and Russo. Everywhere else will be different.
Yeah, six, maximum 7 players will start from that.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to show it because it looked completely different. And I'm glad your holiday's going well, Chloe.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to game at the weekend. But
Can't keep away. We're all going to see each other this weekend because obviously you got a season ticket now for the women's.
Yeah, I do. Honor, it's a goal. Will she redeem? Because she scored at home the first game of the season.
She should have
Away,
scored.
the goal went over the line, but it wasn't given.
Yeah.
Will she want to get her revenge and do? I'm gonna say she did score that second game. Will she score a third time on a trot against Reading?
I think she could. Yeah, I think she could. It just depends on obviously what Skinner's told her to do if she's have the freedom to do so. But I think the thing about Reading is a bit more cagey. It was Friday night under the lights, and I think remember it launched to Sky Sports coverage. It had a bit of an atmosphere.
Yeah, it was the opening game, and we kicked off the season.
She kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck. Really, I think it was a bit cagey, and it was also like, right, okay, got to do it myself, and then just scored. So hopefully she'll do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll wrap it up here anyway. I'll go with my team, who I'm gonna go for, and then I'll let you do yours.
Yeah.
Gonna go for the 4-2-3-1 formation.
We all have to.
I literally had to go out when saying it, but 4-2-3-1 formation. I'm gonna go for Mary Earps in goal. Honor gonna be on the fullback. Miller Turner will be back in the team, and Mayer's gonna be as the centre back over Tunkara, and then Hannah Blundell will be on the other fullback. Double pivot. I'm gonna go for Ladd and Zellum.
Mm-hmm.
Left Golan, middle Tuna, right Leon. Yeah. And then up front, I'm gonna go for Russo.
To be honest, I'd probably go the same. I think the only possible change that might happen is I know she's had an extra week, but she's come back from Australia. Maybe Galton Garcia to get us all excited. Galton Garcia, Tooney, and that front three. With obviously Russo up as a lone striker. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, though. We'll find out on Saturday.
So, what score are you going to go for?
Oh, it's funny. You know what? A number just came into my head when you asked that question.
What number did you go?
And it's funny. It's still a good number because we win. But I feel like it would cause me to have a heart attack. 2-1 United.
I'm going to go for... Because it's at home, I'm going to go with what my dad's gone for, 4-1 United. Chloe's gone 3-0 United. Nice clean sheet. Gotta go for it. First game of the season, of course. Andrew's gone for a 2-0 United, so everyone's all going for United today. But it's been a great show. Andy, thanks so much for coming on. Would you like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, obviously mainly on here now, thankfully. Maisy, I'm really honoured always to be on here. And yeah, my personal Twitter account is at AJO_87, where I'm a bit more chilled out than I was last season. I'm a bit more what will be with Jackie, but when we see it get announced, probably tomorrow or Friday, then I suppose that'll be the interesting thing on Twitter.
Yeah, go and give Andy a follow if you haven't already. Vincent has gone for 7-0 for United. I love your optimism. I really, really do. But I still got a few shows this week coming ahead. Doing a review for Man United's game for the Europa League, my Premier League predictions with John as well. And then I'll do some shows next week. We'll have our preview again for next week. We play against West Ham next week, so
Yeah,
we'll do the preview for that. Chloe will be back, so
yeah,
the trio will be back again.
yeah,
And I'll think of some other shows to do during the week. International break. It's hard, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Andy, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Take care and bye bye.